Hello all, welcome to this next set of notes here. Hopefully the quiz went well, hopefully that went smoothly for you. We're working our way out. So we started with earth science, you remember rocks and minerals and the earth's crust, then atmosphere and weather, and now we're getting to the things that are going around the world. So some of it's earth properties, but the moon and the sun, and then how they interact and how they work with each other. There's some book sections on Canvas you want to use. All right, here. So Earth, an oblate spheroid, which you guys know that from cultural geography. So a little bit of review here, which is kind of nice. Then you know it already, right? And it has a magnetic field that extends several thousand kilometers into space. We have south and north. So that's why, you know, the compasses, they point north, all that stuff. So magnetic poles. Earth's rotation, it is cruising. It's spinning about 1,700 kilometers an hour at the equator. Something kind of cool, though, is that it's moving at the equator and it's moving so fast, but it's really hardly moving at all at the poles. If you've ever had this, do they even make merry-go-rounds anymore? But when you're on the outside of a merry-go-round, you're going a lot faster than if you're just standing in the middle of the merry-go-round. So kind of interesting that it does that. And a scientist called Foucault demonstrated that. He used a pendulum. So if you've ever been to Griffith's Observatory, or I feel like I've seen him in other museums too, right when you walk in the entry where there's a big, huge, enormous pendulum, and it goes back and forth, and it knocks down pins, and like eventually knocks down all the pins in a circle. That's because the Earth is spinning underneath it. So Foucault did this, and he realized, like, hey, the Earth is spinning. So this isn't something that people had to be outside of the Earth to see from a spaceship. He was able to demonstrate this from Earth. And spinning, once again, 1,700 kilometers an hour, that's really, really, really fast. We don't feel it spinning, because remember, going to Newton's laws here, an object in motion stays in motion. So we are in motion with the Earth. We want to stay in motion with the Earth. So that's why we don't feel like we're spinning, but we are. It takes about 365 days and 1/4 of a day to make one complete revolution around the sun. So that's why this year we had a leap day or a leap year, because every 4 years they take those 4 quarters and they put them together and they get 1 day. So every 4 years is 366 days, but 365 1/4 to make one complete trip around the sun. It's more of an ellipse shape. It's not a perfect circle looking down at it. Then 2 words that are just kind of cool. The closest it gets to the sun is the perihelion. The furthest is the aphelion. Okay, so it does get closer and further at different times in the year. However, I would be like jumping up and down and saying this in the classroom or repeating it over and over. This has nothing to do with the seasons. I'm here like gesturing with my hands too. This has nothing to do with the seasons. Yes, it gets closer and further from the sun, but that does not affect the seasons. Okay, that's just part of it. That's just what happens. That is not what gives us seasons. Moving on here. So the moon, lunar, it's about 1/4 of the size of Earth, which I have to admit, I'm not totally sure if that is the volume or if that is the diameter. I feel like that's more of a geometry problem, but anyways, it's a lot smaller than the Earth. Gravity is 1/6 of the size of Earth. So if you weigh, let's see here, 120 pounds on Earth, it would feel like you only weigh 20 pounds on the moon, because that's 1/6 of 120. So, you know, if you'd be limited in your spacesuit, but if you can jump 6 inches on Earth, you know, ideally you'd be able to jump 36 inches on the moon, because the gravity is 1/6 of that. So since it's so much smaller, the gravity is so much less. Now remember, your mass stays the same. Your mass is how much stuff you're made of, whereas gravity is, weight is a measure of gravity pulling down on you. So since gravity is different on the moon, your weight changes, but your mass stays the same. You'd be the same person here as you are on the moon. You didn't gain or lose body parts on the way. All right, it rotates on its axis. So the moon does rotate, and it revolves about once every 27 days. So kind of interesting, the speed. Okay, sorry about that glitch. I had to go back and edit out a phone call and stuff. But interesting about the Earth, or the moon here, is it rotates on its axis and revolves around about the same speed. So we always see the same side of the moon because it's going around the Earth the same speed that it itself is spinning. So the moon is revolving, the moon is rotating, but it's going at such a speed that we don't notice it from here. The moon actually does not make any of its own light, but it only reflects light from the sun to us. So when we see the different moon phases, which we'll talk about later in the week, we're seeing different amounts of the lit up side of the moon, the side that's facing the sun, reflecting that back to us. So here we can see the side of the moon facing the Earth. That's the side we usually see. This is actually what the backside looks like. So there is a backside, but it can only be seen by astronauts in outer space. Like when they went to the moon and before they did the moon landing, they would go around it and they took pictures of the back of the moon. So now you can say that you know what the back of the moon looks like. The lunar surface, there's no atmosphere. So remember last unit we talked about how much we need the atmosphere, how it keeps us alive. Well, the moon doesn't have the atmosphere, so the moon can't support life. So it does not have an atmosphere to insulate it, to keep it from getting too hot or too cold. So on the side that's lit up, it's 225 degrees. But on the side that's not lit, it's negative 243 degrees. So we're talking almost 500-degree difference just from the lit up side to the unlit side. So the temperatures are definitely extreme. There's a lot of radiation that hits the surface of the moon. There's a lot of meteorites and meteors that hit the moon and indent it and leave craters and stuff because there's no atmosphere to burn them up again. But also, since there's no weather, the surface stays pretty much the same. There's no wind or anything to blow things away or to, remove the footprints that the astronauts left behind or anything. So there's no atmosphere. So all the reasons we need the atmosphere at Earth, the moon doesn't have an atmosphere, so that happens there. Scientists looking at patterns and stuff, they can say the moon has a small metallic core, 2 layers of mantle, and a crust. So similar to the Earth, except for they think the moon has 2 layers, whereas the Earth only has the core and the mantle and the crust. Going on to the sun here, it's not a solid or a gas, it's a plasma. So remember earlier talking about the Earth and how it spins faster at the equators? With the Earth or the sun being a plasma, it kind of flows. It's kind of liquidy and flows. So I think it's 11 years, the magnetic poles of the sun reverse because things don't all spin at the same speed. It isn't a solid. It uses nuclear fusion. So we don't do fusion here on Earth yet. We haven't found a way to control that, to use that. We use fission here. However, the sun is constantly using nuclear fusion. It combines hydrogen to form helium, and that releases a ton of energy. I remember growing up, I always used to look at the sun and think it was burning like a campfire or something. That's not the case. It's constantly undergoing lots of nuclear reactions, and that's what's giving off the heat, giving off the light. It has some layers too. So, photosphere, 6,700 degrees Celsius, so really, really hot. Chromosphere, also really, really, really hot. The corona, so crown, this is the corona during a solar eclipse here, 2 to 5 million degrees Celsius. So you would burn on the way to the sun. It's just kind of a matter of which layer would you burn in first. So there's different layers here. They have different temperatures, different characteristics. We're just going to kind of have that be as much as we hit on it, though. So here's another one here. I like this. This shows, the photosphere, chromosphere, corona. Those are the ones I talked about earlier. The internal structure, this is what scientists think are happening. We've never been to the sun, obviously, but looking at patterns, looking at the color of things, knowing what we know about nuclear fusion, this is kind of what they can kind of guess. And since it's a plasma, the subsurface flows. It's like, if you have a water bottle and you spin the water bottle really quick, the water inside doesn't move as much. It's kind of like that with the sun too. So it just doesn't all move at the same speed. All right, there's sunspots. I have it in quotes here that are cooler, because it's not like you could go set up your beach chair or something there, but they're a little bit cooler than the area around them. There's solar flares. You can kind of see some here. if you look online, just like solar flares and the information about them, it's crazy how huge they are. And like, if they were to be a really powerful one, a big one, pointed at the Earth, it could wipe out like all of our electronics, the electromagnetic energy from that. So they eject a lot of radiation. They can disrupt electronics. I feel like there's a show that comes out every year with some kind of premise like that, or I've read books like that, where there was a big electromagnetic pulse, and then what would we do if we didn't have any of our electronics? And it's kind of crazy to think about that. The sun's so far away, but just having these flares and these pulses, that it could mess up something here on Earth with that much energy. All right, we're going to stop there. As you can see, next time we're going to do the moon and stuff. Should be riveting. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have any concerns. Feel free to shoot me an email anytime, and I will get back to notes and talk to you later.